Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Salvation Army's online ritual event. My name is James, and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes. I hope you're ready for an exciting lineup this evening. Kicking off the event will be an opening address by Colonel Rodney Walters, Territorial Commander of the Salvation Army, Singapore, Malaysia, and Myanmar Territory. We've also prepared a special session with beneficiaries and staff from Sojourn to share more about the Salvation Army's efforts in helping migrant workers during this pandemic. You will also not want to miss the address by our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, Minister for Foreign Affairs. As you learn about how the Salvation Army has been helping people in need, you can do your part to help those who are struggling with your kind donation. The pandemic has affected all of us greatly, and it is especially so for the needy and vulnerable ones in our community. You can make a donation now by simply scanning the PayNow QR code with your mobile banking app or by donating via the link provided. Our goal for today's ritual event is $250,000. We have raised over $7,000 so far, and we hope to see the amount going up throughout the event. So, without further ado, let us hear from Colonel Rodney Walters about the Salvation Army's work during these trying times.
A warm greeting to all our distinguished guests and supporters joining us today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share with you the Salvation Army's caring work during these trying times. This past year has been very difficult for many of us. At the Salvation Army, we witnessed the disruption and toll on the lives of underprivileged under our care. Though we were faced with unprecedented challenges, we could not afford to waver as our beneficiaries depended on us for support. Since the onset of the outbreak, the Salvation Army has played a crucial role in uplifting our underprivileged community. Peacehaven, for example, was prompt in adhering to the safe management measures for our nursing home and day centres. We directed our nursing home care staff to move into Peacehaven to prevent them from contracting the virus from the community. Peacehaven Changi Day Centre was designated by the Ministry of Health as a whitelisted centre to continue serving elders who do not have adequate family support. Our team has been resilient in keeping our people safe by vaccinating staff and beneficiaries, carrying out regular swab tests, maintaining split zones, and safe distancing. However, all these efforts can make our elders anxious, and so, to calm them and bring them joy, we've been connecting them with their loved ones on virtual platforms and engaging them through e-volunteering activities. Over at our children's homes, Gracehaven and The Haven, we source for donated laptops for our residents and help them to adjust to home-based learning. We also kept a close watch on their mental and emotional health, as it was a stressful time for young ones to cope with the changes. To support children with incarcerated parents, Prison Support Services, Kids in Play converted the usual physical family bonding sessions online so that the children can still catch up and bond with their incarcerated parents. More recently, we were working with the Singapore Prison Service on a pilot video conferencing initiative to hold additional televisits at our premises to strengthen familial bonds. Moving on to the male migrant community, Sojourn continues to be in the forefront of serving one of the most marginalised groups. Since April last year, we've given out 50,000 food and care packs to the migrant workers. We even managed a helpline for recovered workers quarantined on cruise ships. The helpline has been a lifeline and a beacon of hope for those who were feeling isolated and depressed. When the COVID-19 jabs were made available to the migrant workers, we helped to encourage those who were facing doubts to get vaccinated. Later on, you will get to hear some more insights from the migrant workers themselves on how we have made a difference in their lives. As the Salvation Army strives to better serve our beneficiaries amid this pandemic, we have evolved our services accordingly. A new norm comprising of virtual call engagements, regular use of test kits, and new standard operating procedures have become a part of our service practices. Our caring work in the community is extensive, and we also serve other needy segments such as low-income families, at-risk youth, foster families, and troubled foreign domestic helpers. The Salvation Army is committed in giving our utmost care to those in need. This year, our goal is to raise $7 million for our social fund, which is expected to incur expenses of $42 million. For this Red Shield event, we hope to meet our goal of $250,000. You may wish to know that for every dollar spent from our social fund, 92 cents was spent on our social programs to help our beneficiaries. We urge you to please give generously and help the vulnerable ride out the pandemic. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Colonel Rodney, for sharing the Salvation Army's extensive efforts to help the vulnerable and marginalized in the community. Once again, a quick reminder for those who have just joined us for this evening's ritual event, please support our cause by donating generously. You may do so by scanning the Pay Now QR code with your mobile banking app or by donating via the link provided. Your donation is entitled to a 250% tax deduction. Do remember to include your NRIC, FIN, or UEN number when you are donating. I'm encouraged to see that many of you have already started donating. Once again, our goal for today's ritual event is $250,000, and with your generous contributions, we've already raised over $25,000. Through your support, you're providing hope to many in need during these tough times. Now, let's take a look at how the Salvation Army has risen up to the challenge during the pandemic and continue caring for the underprivileged in the community. No one knew what 2020 would bring. Life, as we know, has been changed forever because of COVID-19. During these trying times, we still need to provide shelter and care for the disadvantaged and vulnerable groups. The pandemic has greatly affected their livelihood, and they are now, more than ever, in dire need of assistance. Despite the many obstacles, the Salvation Army has stepped up to help those who are in need during these challenging times. We continue to provide care and protection for vulnerable and disadvantaged children and youth. We also started online academic mentoring sessions for at-risk youth and provided the families with hot meals during the circuit breaker. We cared for the frail elderly who depend on us for their daily needs and facilitated e-volunteering activities through video calls to engage our residents. We prevented struggling families from going hungry by providing them with food rations and practical aid during the pandemic. We've strengthened family ties by facilitating online bonding sessions for children with incarcerated parents. We befriended and counseled migrant workers who are facing isolation and depression and gave out around 50,000 care packs. The Salvation Army has remained steadfast in providing essential welfare to those struggling. However, the pandemic will not be over soon, and our beneficiaries continue to face a very challenging period. So, open your hearts and join us in making a life-changing impact in our community today. Donate online at sg.salvationarmy.org or scan this QR code with your mobile banking app. Thank you for your support. I just love seeing the happy faces of our beneficiaries across all our social centers. Their sweet smiles just have a way of brightening up my day. Well, it is time to meet our beneficiaries and staff from Sojourn and learn how the Salvation Army has been helping to improve the lives of migrant workers during these trying times. Hello, welcome to the Salvation Army's Red Shoe event. I'm very happy to have our guests joining us today. Hi everyone. Now, for those of you who are watching online, you can find out more about Sojourn's dedication to help migrant workers and how life has been like for our beneficiaries during the pandemic. Joining us this evening with Major Kunam and Eric from Sojourn, along with our migrant worker friends Kingslin and Xiangjun. Let us start by getting to know them better. Kingslin and Xiangjun, please share with us more about yourself and your family.
I come from Tamil Nadu. My wife and 2 children live with my parents back home in India. I am working in construction, doing plastering and tiling.
我来自中国江苏，来新加坡工作已经有23年了。我和我老婆有2个儿子，而且现在2个儿子都已经成家立业了，目前还有1个孙子。在新加坡，我从事一名建筑工人，在新加坡我非常努力的工作，来赚钱回去养活家里面的一家大小。
Hi Kingslin, can you share with us how it has been for you living and working here away from your family?
I have been working in Singapore for the past 2 years. Since COVID-19, I cannot do the things I normally do. I can only go out to work. Many times I feel very lonely. I miss my family a lot. I am very worried for them because the COVID situation in India is very bad. But Sojourn has helping me a lot. I am thankful to Sojourn for helping me through counseling, phone calls and group Zoom meeting. Because of their care, I am now happier.
Major Kunam, hearing from what Kingslin has just shared, do many migrant workers face similar issues? I'm sure you would have helped to uplift many others. Can you share a story with us?
Yes, majority of our migrant workers face a lot of struggles. One migrant worker shared his story with me about how he had temporarily lost his job during the pandemic. He had to, however, stay in the dormitory and was not able to leave the premises due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Hearing how his fellow comrades were affected, he lived in fear that he would contract COVID-19 too. News of the worsening COVID-19 situation in India also added to his fear and feeling of helplessness. When Sojourn heard of his plight, we arranged for practical counseling sessions through phone calls, which encouraged him greatly and gave him a sense of support. With the care and support from Sojourn, he managed to overcome his fears and became more positive.
2020 was a very difficult year for everyone, and I believe it was extremely challenging for our migrant workers. Xiangjun, how was it like for you?
去年我在这边受了工伤，就是手术后我在床上躺了有几个月，后来就是经过朋友介绍，我认识了这个救世军，向救世军这个求助，他们带我去看中医，看这个免费的医疗，在这各方面，在我的生活各方面提供了大量的援助，在这里我非常感谢救世军对我的帮助。
Eric, kudos to the hard work by the Salvation Army. Do share with us your take on helping the migrant workers overcome this tough period, and how do you plan to leverage on your strengths to continue making a difference?
The pandemic has brought a lot of hardship and the migrant workers are having a challenging time. So we have been able to make a difference in the life of these workers because of the generous donations from our donors and the strong support from our strategic partners. Since April last year, we have been given out over 50,000 food and care packs, and this would not have been possible without them. So to alleviate the mental stress of workers, being cooped up in the dormitories. We have been running health talks, English classes, Zumba, and even art and craft. So during the period when it was permissible, we also organized outing to visit our local attractions. So this year, we launched a helpline that can support languages including Bengali, Tamil, Chinese, Telugu, and English. So together with our partners and volunteers, we provide information, support, and counseling to the workers on matters ranging from the pandemic, employment, to mental wellness.
Thank you, Eric, for giving us a glimpse into Sojourn's work and how it continues to make a difference in the lives of the migrant workers. Major Kuna, it was also great to hear how your team has provided support both mentally and physically to our migrant worker communities. We have come to the end of this sharing session and once again like to thank Kingslin and Xiangjun for sharing their personal experiences and how the Salvation Army has directly impacted their lives. As you have heard, Sojourn has been doing a lot of good work to uplift the vulnerable migrant workers community, so please give generously as there are still many of them who are still struggling. You can make a donation now by simply scanning the PayNow QR code with your mobile banking app or by donating via the link provided. With your support, we've already raised over $53,000 so far. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, Minister for Foreign Affairs. We're honored to have him with us today for his address.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's my pleasure to be part of the Salvation Army's Red Shield event. The Salvation Army has served the underprivileged in Singapore faithfully since 1935. Since its humble beginnings at Killiney Road, the Salvation Army has grown with Singapore and innovated to meet the evolving needs of our community. Today, the Salvation Army reaches out to about 2,500 beneficiaries through its 12 centers every month. The pandemic has been a very trying period for many, particularly for those of us who are already struggling. But I'm glad there are many dedicated social service agencies and volunteers in Singapore who are undaunted by the challenges and to continue serving. Early this year, the Salvation Army opened 2 new centers, one in the east to care for the mental well-being of seniors, another in the west to offer counseling, emotional support, and other assistance to migrant workers. You have also responded to the changing times. And as we implemented safe management measures to curb the spread of the virus, the Salvation Army has worked so closely with the authorities for the safety of their residents in the children's homes, the workers' shelters, nursing homes, and day centers. I understand that the Salvation Army has implemented measures like split zones, provided masks, and other resources. The Salvation Army centers in the community have leveraged technology to better connect with their clients and beneficiaries. Fundraising also went virtual, like this Red Shield event, where the public can learn about your meaningful cause and to support you. It is said that every crisis also brings opportunities. And this pandemic has taught us many valuable lessons on overcoming challenges together and underscored the importance of partnerships. The Salvation Army's May We Care initiative was another meaningful campaign that involves various partners coming together to express appreciation to our foreign domestic helpers in May this year. I understand that this idea in fact came from the team who runs a shelter for troubled foreign domestic workers who saw a need to raise awareness about respecting and appreciating our domestic helpers. I'm very encouraged by such collaboration to build an even more caring society. The battle against COVID-19 is far from over, but we know that we can all emerge stronger together if we maintain solidarity, we look out for each and every one in our community. And the Salvation Army's good work to this end is made possible by the generous support, the contributions, and the donations of all its supporters. The Salvation Army has done much to help the vulnerable groups in Singapore, and I hope you will continue to give your strong support. Enable them to continue playing a critical, valuable role in caring for all the disadvantaged. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your encouraging message and for reminding us that we can achieve so much more when we come together to help one another. Just as Dr. Balakrishnan mentioned earlier, we cannot care for so many beneficiaries without your generous support to help us transform the lives of the weak and the vulnerable who are struggling during these challenging times. This year, the Salvation Army needs to raise around $7 million to continue caring for people in need in the community. For this Rich You event, the fundraising goal is $250,000, and I would like to appeal to all our honored guests today to give generously. To donate, you can simply scan the PayNow QR code with your mobile banking app or by donating via the URL link. For check donations, kindly mail your checks to the Salvation Army, Ang Mo Kio Central PO Box 640, Singapore 915605. Thanks to your support, the amount raised has gone up by twofolds, and we have now raised over $106,000. Please continue to give generously as we need your support to reach our goal of $250,000 today. And now, let us take you on a journey of $1 to see how the Salvation Army uses your donation to help change lives.
How can we make a difference? For us, it starts small, with $1. But what can $1 do? At the Salvation Army, 92% of every dollar in our social fund goes towards providing help to vulnerable children and youth, frail elderly, struggling families, isolated migrant workers, and other needy segments in our community. How exactly do we help? For many children like Gloria, home was neither warm nor comforting. Her parents were hardly around, and Gloria was being passed from caregiver to caregiver, making her feel abandoned and hurt. Thankfully, she found refuge at the Salvation Army. Under our care, Gloria learned how to open up to others and gained self-confidence. She also became a mentor to her younger peers in the Salvation Army. Besides vulnerable children, we also care for isolated migrant workers like Raj. Due to his hand injury, he was unable to work. The loss of much-needed income to support his family left him feeling helpless and depressed. Through the Salvation Army, Raj found medical help and a welcoming community, where he found friends who cared for him. He soon regained both his physical and mental strength. Mr. Foon is also a beneficiary of the Salvation Army. He is an 85-year-old former cleaner who spent most of his life keeping the streets of Singapore clean. When his dementia worsened, Mr. Foon often lost his way in the very streets that he used to clean. After spending nights at void decks, he would eventually return to his bed-bug-infested rental flat, tired and soiled. With the Salvation Army's assistance, Mr. Foon was able to find solace in a clean, comfortable nursing home with dedicated staff who looked out for him. The Salvation Army helps many vulnerable people like Gloria, Raj, and Mr. Foon who are unable to look after themselves. So what difference does $1 make? With a single dollar from many helping hands, we are able to transform lives through our wide range of social programs. So what can $1 really do? It is now up to you to decide. With your support, we can continue to touch many lives.
It's great to see how a single dollar from many helping hands can help transform the lives of many. So, let us also do our part and contribute what we can to show we care enough to make a difference in our community. I believe today's event has been a meaningful experience for all of us, and on behalf of the Salvation Army, we'd like to thank our distinguished guests and everyone who has donated generously to support our cause. As you can see on the screen, you have helped to raise over $150,000 this evening, which takes us closer to our goal of $250,000. Your support means a lot to the Salvation Army and to all the beneficiaries under our care. For those who have not donated, it is not too late, and you can still show your support by scanning the PayNow QR code with your mobile banking app or by donating via the available link. Your donation, big or small, will help provide hope to the vulnerable and marginalized in our community. Once again, thank you for your support. Thank you everyone, and have a good night.